What is going on, guys? I am Bradley with Allaqcess Sports, bringing you our sleepers, studs, and stacks for week 2 of the NFL season. Now, normally you'd hear this long spiel about how well we did last week, but I will be upfront and honest. Week 1 was absolutely terrible for us. There's no way around it. It was terrible for a lot of people, but we did not do good. So I'm very thankful and very fortunate that I did play small. But we're going to get over that. We're going to come back. I think last year we only did not cash 3, maybe 4 times. But every single week we did come back and we cashed. We did not lose on back-to-back weeks a single time, and I don't plan on having that happen this year. If you're new to the channel, we're going to go over sleepers, studs, and stacks for week 2 of the NFL season, where we're going to give you some value plays under 5,500, those top-tier guys that you need to go after, and then a little bit of stacks that you can put into your lineup to hopefully set you up with a good foundation for the rest of the week. It did not play out that way last week, as we're going to get into. The good. We talked about Christian McCaffrey being my favorite running back of the week. Obviously everyone thought Christian McCaffrey was going to be their favorite running back of the week. Dallas Goddard, I said that was one of my favorite tight ends. I wanted him in there. I mentioned him in the flex position. I actually played 2 tight ends, which is unusual for me. If you're following me on Patreon, I'm sorry. It was not good. By the way, Eric Weidel says, dude, garbage lineup, you didn't even break 100. You're right, I didn't. I even favorited it because it's 100% true. I did not. But then you went on to say down here at the bottom, you said, I see my comment got deleted. Be transparent, Bradley. You didn't even score 100 points in your lineup. Yikes. I promise you, dude, we didn't. I'm going to move this comment so you can see. You blocked me. We weren't able to add your reply. Please try again. Your comment was removed, possibly removed, because you blocked me. It has nothing to do with me. I promise you, we are transparent. It was horrible, but we're going to keep going. I'm sorry. The bad. Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts, that whole triple stack was inefficient against this Eagles defense. I don't know why, because they looked good in their first drive. Brandon Ayook apparently had an injury, and me and 9% of other people playing in the Millionaire Maker did not know about, so he was less than 100% and did not do very good. And then finally, James Robinson. I put a lot of money invested in him. You can see my lineup there on your screen. Put a lot of money into him, and it did not pan out. I'm going to make it bigger for you so you can see all these snowflakes on the screen. Yeah, I'm glad it's summertime because it's getting a little cold in here all of a sudden. However, week 2, we're going to get this corrected. We are going to right the ship. If you have questions, comments, concerns, just want to talk about fantasy football, let's get into this together because we obviously need to learn from one another. You can find me at Allaqcess CLT on Twitter. My personal one is at Brad M. Lee. Always happy to talk to you there. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Allaqcess. If you do want to go above and beyond in support of the channel, I get it. People are hesitant now, but patreon.com/Allaqcess. That's where you can get our late bloomers. You'll see my starting 5 that I'm going to play. Maybe you just want to support the channel so you see what not to play and fade me completely. But you'll get those 2 things as well as weather report and my best bets of the week. But our sleepers, these are guys under $5,500 that you are going to see for week 2. Kicking things off, we have Jacoby Myers at $5,100 against the New York Jets. I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, so I got to see this Jets defense up close and personal. They gave up 234 passing yards in the first half before Joe Brady and the Carolina Panthers offense decided to step off the gas. That defense did not generate a lot of pressure against a bad offensive line of the Carolina Panthers, and the defensive backs were getting burned very quickly and very easily. There was a lot of attention being given to CMC, so I get it. But I think Jacoby Myers at $5,100 is going to have a great week, especially because he had 9 targets in week 1. I would expect similar target numbers this week. Jamar Chase, $5,000 against Chicago. 23.9 Draftkings points in week 1. 18 targets against Chicago for wide receivers in week 1. There's no reason Cincinnati isn't going to try and replicate that number, and Joe Burrow would be putting up a lot of passes. Tim Patrick, he's not going to be a sleeper. That's really not on anyone's radar. Or he's a guy that's going to be on everyone's radar. That's what I'm trying to say. Everyone knows about Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton because Jerry Jeudy went down, KJ Hamler as well, Noah Fant, whatever you want to call him. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of attention on those other Denver wide receivers without Jerry Jeudy playing against Jacksonville, a favorable matchup. Tim Patrick's the one that got 70% of snaps, most of the snaps coming after Jerry Jeudy went down, so he is going to be what appears to be the replacement for JJ. Darnell Mooney, $4,300 against Cincinnati. 100% snap share last week and opportunities that wide receivers could be on the field. Cincinnati is going to get a lot less pressure than the LA Rams were able to generate, meaning Fields and Trubisky, whoever's back there, is going to have a lot more opportunity to throw. They're not going to be feeling the pressure in their face that they're going to have to just get rid of the ball as quickly as possible. Mooney, a speedster, will be able to get down the field. He's not going to be catching 4 passes for 12 yards or whatever it was, where it was all screen and bubble routes. Elijah Mitchell, not going to be a sleeper because everyone's going to be talking about him. $5,000 against Philadelphia. Without Raheem Mostert, he is going to be the number 1 guy. There is a chance that Trey Sermon, who was a healthy scratch last week, could come in and vulture away some opportunities. But Elijah Mitchell looks like the guy there. Dallas Goddard, I'm going to continue to ride that train, man. $4,900 at the tight end position. I like it. Against San Francisco, who's a very good defense, but they are susceptible to the tight ends. They give up 10 receptions to TJ Hawkinson in week 1, and the tight ends continue to be a favorite target for Jalen Hurts. Whether it's him or Ertz back there, I think they're going to try and avoid some of that pressure that Bosa is able to generate. Give me the quick passes to whoever they have out there, whether it's Quez Watkins, could be Jalen Reagor, it could be Devonta Smith, but I think Goddard is going to be the number 1 guy in this offense in week 2. And another tight end that I'm going to give you is Jared Cook at $3,000 or $3,900 against the Dallas Cowboys. They gave up 2 touchdowns last week to Gronkowski. Very simple routes. It just looks like the linebackers are a little lost in coverage. Michael Parsons is very good, but he did look a little lost on occasion. I don't expect him to be matched up one-on-one with Jared Cook, but we know how good of an athlete Jared Cook is. I think Keenan Allen is going to draw a lot of attention. Mike Williams, after his performance last week, drawing a lot of attention. Jared Cook should have a pretty open field day against that Dallas Cowboys defense. And in more to watch, Derek Carr, $5,300. These are guys that we're just kind of keeping an eye on, feel it out. Pittsburgh Steelers defense should be better than it was last week. Devin Singletary, he was the number 1 guy without Zach Moss last week. They're going up against Miami this week. Christian Kirk at $5,000 against Minnesota. I think that's priced way down for where he should be. Donovan Peoples-Jones or Anthony Schwartz, with Odell Beckham Jr. being out for a second week in a row going up against Houston, who, again, played very good last week, but I think they come back to reality. I think Anthony Schwartz or Donovan Peoples-Jones, whoever is the primary guy there, is going to be a good play. And then finally, Terrace Marshall Jr. at $3,100 against New Orleans. I don't expect a huge game from him, but for people who want to take a shot in the dark, Terrace Marshall Jr., who had 2 or 3, I believe it was 3 targets within the red zone last week. No touchdowns were converted by them in those opportunities, but 3 looks in the red zone last week from Sam Darnold to Terrace Marshall. I would expect for them to connect at least on 1 touchdown in week 2. And finally, James O'Shaughnessy, $2,700 against Denver. Who knew James O'Shaughnessy was going to be that dude down in Jacksonville? I guess him and Trevor Lawrence just have a real connection. He is the number 1 tight end. And not sure how often Trevor Lawrence used his tight ends in college, but I guess he's going to be using them here in the NFL. Now our studs. And these are the high-priced guys that we want to fit into our lineup. Last week, that would have been Christian McCaffrey, and that's about it. That actually paid off. But we're going to right the ship, guys. I'm telling you, we don't have 2 back-to-back losing weeks. It just doesn't happen. So, kicking things off, my favorite running back play of the week, Nick Chubb at $7,800. Again, Houston was better than expected week 1 against Jacksonville. I don't think that's the real deal. I don't think we saw the real Houston. I think we saw a bad Jacksonville Jaguars team. They're going to come back to earth, meaning that they were the last team. They were 32nd in the league in rush yards given up per game. There's no reason Nick Chubb and a very good Cleveland Browns offensive line can't generate a ton of rushing yards in this one. Russell Wilson, $7,500 against the Tennessee Titans. He only threw 23 attempts last week, much like Jameis Winston, who I think only had like 20 attempts, right? Only 23 attempts, but still he was able to get 4 touchdowns through the air. And he's always a threat with his legs. I love him at $7,500 against Tennessee, who just saw a very similar style offense in terms of a big physical wide receiver, a speedy wide receiver on the other end, and a quarterback that can run. Russell Wilson should be in line for a very strong game. David Montgomery, $6,100 against Cincinnati. Talked about it earlier. He had a very tough matchup last week. Cincinnati gave up 7 receptions to Dalvin Cook, a couple of touchdowns. Montgomery should be in line to have a great game and bounce back. His usage was there. I don't think he's going to get 7 targets out of the backfield, but in terms of just straight up rushing yards, I think he bounces back to normal. And at $6,100, it's absolutely worth the gamble to see him get 15 to 18 points. DK Metcalf, $7,600. If I'm going to take your quarterback, I'm probably picking one of your wide receivers. Last year, it seemed like Seattle flip-flopped back and forth between Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. Whoever scored more points in week 1 was not going to be the main guy in week 2. Because of that, I think DK Metcalf is your man to watch. But if you want to fade me, Tyler Lockett's probably going to go off for his biggest game ever. A guy that I do have absolute faith in is Keenan Allen at $7,000 against Dallas. Dallas gave up 379 passing yards week 1 against Tampa Bay, a very good passing team. Lots of weapons on the outside. LA Chargers, a very good passing team. A lot of weapons on the outside. Herbert in Los Angeles, they're not afraid to throw it around, man, okay? They got 47 attempts in week 1. Now you're going up against a Dallas Cowboys offense that is able to score. They're without Michael Gallup, but they still have CeeDee Lamb, Zeke. They got, Dalton, Schultz, Amari Cooper they still have back there. They're going to be able to put up points. LA Chargers are going to have to be able to compete and put up points with them. Keenan Allen is going to be a stud this week. And my last guy that I have to watch for is a guy that's very underpriced and was taken too late in a lot of best balls or even in fantasy football leagues. Antonio Brown, $6,000 against the horrible Atlanta Falcons defense over the middle. We mentioned it last week. We mentioned it every week. Atlanta's horrible in the slot, and they're horrible over the middle. That's where Antonio Brown kind of lives more. 7 targets last week, monster yardage. I think it was over 120 yards he had. I would expect the volume to be up this week and the yardage to be down. So I'm looking at probably 9 targets and around 100 yards, but the touchdown's still there. The big play threat is still there because Atlanta cannot tackle over the middle. More to watch. Some of these guys are just complimentary pieces to some of the ones that we've already named. Justin Herbert, $6,700. You can get yourself a bargain, almost $1,000 cheaper than Russell Wilson for a man that's in line to put up 25 to 30 points. Nanje Harris, number 1 running back usage, number 1 amount of snaps in week 1. He ran the most routes out of the slot of any running back, ran the most routes out of any running back. That includes Christian McCaffrey. Nanje Harris, the usage is there for him being on the field. Now they just got to put the ball in his hands. That's why it's worth the watch. I want to make sure that they're actually going to use him as that weapon that he can be before I put him into my lineups. Wide receivers, Mike Williams, 6,100 is a bit steep for me because he is kind of been a boom or bust guy over the years. Brandon Cooks, $5,900 against Cleveland. I think Houston's playing from behind. Brandon Cooks, Tyrod Taylor. Who knew? That would be the new Steve Young and Jerry Rice of the league. Brandon Cooks at $5,900. Looks like a very good play. CeeDee Lamb, $6,400 against the LA Chargers. I mentioned that already. LA can score. Dallas can score. I want to fit a lot of guys from this game into my lineup, as many people probably do. But he had an astonishing 15 targets week 1. Most of them came before Michael Gallup went down. It felt like watching the game. I'm not sure how true that is, but whether he's in there or not, CeeDee Lamb is going to be getting the ball. And then tight ends, you got to always mention George Kittle against Philadelphia. And then Rob Gronkowski, $4,700 against Atlanta. Why? They struggle over the middle. They struggle against tight ends. I've said it every week. I can only say it so many times. I think Rob Gronkowski is a very good play against this Atlanta Falcons defense. And moving into our stacks, a lot of these guys you're going to recognize from what we've already said. The LA Chargers. I think Justin Herbert's underpriced. I think Jared Cook's way underpriced. And I think Keenan Allen is going to play to his pricing. I think this is a very safe, reliable play against a Dallas Cowboys defense that is now without Greg Lawrence to be putting pressure in Justin Herbert's face. I think there's a lot of points that are going to be put up here. Seattle Seahawks, kind of the obvious, but that is a very expensive play. You're going to have to run it back with a lot of cheap plays. And then the Chicago Bears. Allen Robinson, David Montgomery. One that's not on here would be the Dallas Cowboys, only because they are very expensive. I think Dak is a little bit overpriced. I think Amari Cooper is overpriced. I think CeeDee Lamb is right where he needs to be, but it's very overpriced. But you'll probably have to put in one of them if you do go with the LA Chargers stack, just so that you can play the game theory and run it back with them. Defenses. Listen, if Atlanta isn't able to turn it around, that Tampa Bay defense is going to eat Matt Ryan alive. I'm talking 12, 13, 14, 18 sacks, 6 turnovers in this one. That Tampa Bay front seven is deadly. They pretty much detonate and destroy any kind of running game that a team's going to have against them, forcing you to throw it on the outside. And they don't have a lot of outside route runners out there right now besides Calvin Ridley. Yes, they have Kyle Pitts. I get that. They have Hayden Hurst. I get that. Russell Gage, Zaki. I get that. But in terms of keeping the ball on the outside and keeping it deep, that makes you rely on Calvin Ridley. But that Atlanta Falcons offensive line was not able to keep Matt Ryan off of his back. Tampa Bay is going to get after him. I expect a lot of sacks and a lot of turnovers in this one. New England Patriots against the New York Jets, 3,600. We saw what the Carolina Panthers did against the New York Jets week 1. Zach Wilson's obviously going to make some plays, but they give up 34 pressures to the Carolina Panthers defense. 34 pressures. That's got to be turned into sacks and interceptions this week for the New England Patriots. And then, I had to go with the Carolina Panthers. I had to fit them on here somehow. I got Terrace Marshall in here and the Carolina Panthers against the New Orleans Saints. Jameis Winston. Let's talk about that for a second, okay? 14 of 20 for 100-plus yards and 5 touchdowns. The Carolina Panthers, Alvin Kamara is averaging 5.7 yards per carry against the Carolina Panthers in his career. I think they are going to force feed Alvin Kamara. The Panthers are expecting that. Jameis Winston is probably swagging and strutting all through New Orleans facilities, wherever they're located right now. He is feeling good. He is feeling on top of this world. I think he does not bring his A game. I think he comes in overconfident. I think this Carolina Panthers defense is tired of losing to them. It's a long shot. I don't know if I'll be playing it, but I would not be surprised if the Carolina Panthers are able to generate a lot of turnovers in this one and get after Jameis Winston just to make him uncomfortable. They still have a very, very good offensive line. Sean Payton is an excellent offensive-minded coach. But the Carolina Panthers should be able to generate some turnovers, and turnovers are king when you're talking about defense and special teams. And just a few more notes. People are going to be chasing the success that they saw in week 1. So all the success you saw in week 1, people are going to be chasing that. People are going to say, oh, this is that dude. This is the guy. Did you see what he did week 1? It's going to level out. 1 week's an anomaly. 2 weeks is a trend. 3 weeks is a play. Like that's what's happening. Give it some time. Let it develop. Don't chase just because it happened 1 week. Make sure it's there. Value at the wide receiver position, again, as always, and aim for 4 times points per $1,000 spent. $5,000 player, you want a potential 15 to 20 points. If you're not getting that, it's going to make life real difficult for you. My team did not do that. I will show it again because, again, transparency is key. We stunk week 1, but I promise you it won't happen again. Matt Ryan, James Robinson, Brandon Ayook, Michael Pittman, Dallas Goddard. Who's that? Kyle Pitts and the Dolphins. I'm never picking any of y'all again. Oh, actually, you know what? I'll pick Goddard. I'll pick Dallas again. I'll probably find DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey again. But, we're not going to make it an everyday habit. But that was NFL Week 2, our sleepers, studs, and stacks. I would love to hop in a conversation with you on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. No matter where you are, I will follow you back. Hit me up there. You can tell me I sucked week 1. It does not hurt me. It is no sweat off my back. I know I did. We all have bad weeks. It's about getting back up, getting on that horse, and knocking it out week number 2. Hopefully the next time that I see you is in the comments and in the green. Oh, you know what? We got to do another giveaway. Just because I was so bad week 1. Let's up it. $20 PayPal to cover your next Millionaire Maker ticket. Down in the comments below. We're not going to be super precise this time. We're just going to say who is the top Draftkings point performer for week 2. Give me the name of the player on NFL Sunday's main slate The games played Sunday, 1 o'clock and 4:25 and 4:05 Eastern Time. Those games. Who is the number 1 point scorer for DraftKings points that week? One correct guess will win that $20 prize. Limit 1 entry per user. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. One person will win. I promise you. Guys, we're going to get it. We're going to get this fixed. Y'all have a good one. Thank you so much for watching this video and subscribing to the channel. Like it for good luck. That's all I have to say. I'm done. I've got to go. Bye-bye.